December 15, 1944, the Ardennes Forest, Belgium. At 0400 hours, temperatures hovering at -12 degrees Celsius, Sergeant Marcus Washington crouched in a foxhole barely 2 meters wide, watching the morning mist rise from the frozen ground like ghostly fingers. The 101st Airborne Division had been holding this sector for 3 weeks, but Washington knew something the German forces approaching through the forest did not yet understand. Before we dive into this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. What began as a desperate defensive action would become one of the most ingenious tactical deceptions in military history, proving that sometimes the greatest weapon on a battlefield is not firepower, but pure human creativity. Marcus Washington had learned early in his 26 years that survival often meant thinking 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Born in Montgomery, Alabama in 1918, he had grown up understanding that his success would never be handed to him on a silver platter. His father, Samuel Washington, worked the docks loading cotton bales, and his mother Ruth took in laundry from the wealthier families across town. From childhood, Marcus displayed an almost supernatural ability to solve complex problems with simple solutions. When the neighborhood children could not figure out how to retrieve a baseball from the Hendersons' yard without facing their notoriously aggressive dog, 9-year-old Marcus suggested they roll their second ball toward the back fence, wait for the dog to chase it, then quickly grab the first ball from the front yard. This same creative thinking had served him well since enlisting in 1942. The Army had initially assigned him to a segregated supply unit, but Marcus's exceptional performance during training exercises caught the attention of Lieutenant Colonel Robert Hartwell, a career officer who cared more about results than the color of a soldier's skin. When the 101st Airborne needed experienced non-commissioned officers for their expansion, Hartwell personally recommended Washington for sergeant stripes and transfer to the elite unit. By December 1944, Sergeant Washington commanded a 12-man squad of paratroopers who had jumped into Normandy on D-Day and fought through the liberation of France. His men included Corporal James Murphy from Boston, a former mechanic whose steady hands could repair anything from radio equipment to vehicle engines. Private First Class Antonio Rossetti from Brooklyn brought street smarts and an uncanny ability to scrounge supplies from seemingly nowhere. Private David Chen, a Chinese-American from San Francisco, served as the squad's best marksman and spoke fluent German from his university studies. The rest of his squad consisted of farm boys from the Midwest who had never seen a black man before joining the Army, but had learned to respect Washington's tactical brilliance through months of combat. The Ardennes sector had been considered relatively quiet since the American forces established their positions in late November. The German army of that era appeared to be in full retreat across most of the front, and intelligence reports suggested they lacked the resources for any major counteroffensive. Most Allied commanders believed the conflict in Europe would end within months, possibly weeks. This confidence had led to a dangerous complacency among some units, but Washington maintained his vigilance. Something about the recent radio intercepts and patrol reports troubled him, though he could not yet articulate exactly what. On the morning of December 14th, Washington had been studying his maps when Private Chen approached with a puzzling observation. During his dawn reconnaissance patrol, Chen had noticed unusual vehicle tracks in the snow approximately 3 kilometers northeast of their position. The tracks appeared fresh, made by heavy vehicles moving in formation during the night. More concerning, Chen had heard what sounded like tank engines in the distance, though the sound came from an unexpected direction. Washington examined Chen's sketched map of the track patterns with growing concern. The spacing and depth of the impressions suggested main battle tanks, possibly the new German Panzer models that American intelligence had been tracking. What made this discovery particularly troubling was the direction of movement. Instead of continuing their apparent retreat eastward, these vehicles had been moving south and west, positioning themselves for what could only be interpreted as an offensive action. That evening, Washington gathered his squad leaders for a briefing in the abandoned farmhouse that served as their temporary headquarters. The building had been damaged by previous fighting, with several holes in the roof allowing snow to accumulate in the corners, but its stone walls provided excellent protection from both weather and observation. Corporal Murphy had managed to restore power to a single room using a generator salvaged from a damaged American vehicle, providing enough light for Washington to spread his tactical maps across a makeshift table. "Gentlemen," Washington began, his breath visible in the cold air, "I believe we are about to face a significant challenge. Based on Chen's reconnaissance and my analysis of recent intelligence reports, I suspect the German forces are preparing a major offensive in our sector. The track patterns suggest at least a full armored battalion, possibly more." Private First Class Rossetti shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Sergeant, with respect, command told us the Germans are finished. They do not have the fuel or equipment for any major operations." Washington nodded thoughtfully. "That is what everyone believes, Rossetti. But sometimes what everyone believes and what is actually happening are two very different things. The German military leadership at the time has proven repeatedly that they are willing to take enormous risks when facing desperate situations. If they are concentrating their remaining armored units for one final push, our position could become extremely dangerous very quickly." Over the next 2 hours, Washington outlined his assessment of their tactical situation. The 101st Airborne held a front approximately 8 kilometers wide, with insufficient anti-tank weapons to stop a concentrated armored assault. Their nearest reinforcements were more than 12 kilometers away, and winter weather conditions would delay any relief column by several hours at minimum. Most critically, their communication equipment had been experiencing intermittent failures due to the extreme cold, meaning they might not be able to call for artillery support when needed. Corporal Murphy raised the obvious question. "So what do we do, Sergeant? If they hit us with main battle tanks and we cannot stop them, do we fall back?" Washington studied his maps for a long moment before responding. "Falling back is always an option, Murphy, but sometimes standing and fighting, even when outnumbered, can achieve results that retreating cannot. The key is fighting smart instead of fighting hard." As he spoke, Washington was already formulating the beginnings of a plan that would soon become legendary throughout the American military. The concept had started forming in his mind during Chen's reconnaissance report, developed further during his study of the terrain maps, and crystallized completely during this conversation with his men. It was audacious, risky, and dependent on precise timing. But Washington believed it offered their best chance not just for survival, but for turning their disadvantage into a decisive victory. The temperature dropped to -15 degrees Celsius overnight, and Washington spent the early morning hours of December 15th conducting his own reconnaissance patrol. Moving silently through the snow-covered forest, he confirmed Chen's observations and discovered additional evidence of German preparations. Fresh foxholes had been dug in positions that would provide excellent fields of fire for an advance toward American positions. Supply caches had been established at regular intervals, indicating a well-planned operation rather than a hasty assault. Most importantly, Washington observed the terrain features that would make his plan possible. The forest in this sector consisted primarily of tall pine trees with minimal undergrowth, creating excellent visibility at ground level, but providing substantial overhead concealment. Several small clearings dotted the area, connected by natural paths that armored vehicles would almost certainly use to navigate through the woods. The rolling topography included numerous small hills and ridges that could mask movement in certain directions, while exposing it in others. Returning to his unit's position, Washington immediately began issuing detailed orders to his squad leaders. Each man received specific instructions regarding equipment, positioning, and timing. The plan required precise coordination between multiple elements, and there would be no opportunity for corrections once the action began. "Murphy," Washington said, "I need you to gather every smoke grenade we have, plus any you can acquire from other units without arousing suspicion. Tell them you are conducting training exercises on concealment techniques. How many do you need, Sergeant?" "At least 30, preferably 40. Different colors if possible. But standard gray smoke will work if that is all you can find." Murphy nodded and hurried off to begin his collection mission. Washington turned to Chen. "David, you will serve as our primary observer. I need you positioned on Hill 274 with a clear view of the entire approach route. Your job is to provide accurate reports on German vehicle positions and movement." Understood. Sergeant, what exactly am I looking for? Tank formations, obviously, but also support vehicles and infantry positions. Most importantly, I need to know when they reach the tree line at grid reference Alpha 7. That will be our signal to begin. Washington spent the remainder of the morning briefing each member of his squad individually, ensuring that every man understood not just his own role, but how his actions would contribute to the overall plan. This attention to detail reflected Washington's leadership philosophy, learned through hard experience in previous engagements. Soldiers performed better when they understood the purpose behind their orders, and this operation would require exceptional performance from everyone involved. Private First Class Rossetti proved particularly valuable in acquiring additional equipment for the plan. His ability to find necessary supplies through unofficial channels had saved the squad on multiple occasions, and Washington had learned not to ask too many questions about Rossetti's methods. By noon, Rossetti had somehow obtained 43 smoke grenades, 2 boxes of colored signal flares, and a selection of mirrors that could be used to create light reflections. "Where did you get mirrors in the middle of a forest, Rossetti?" Corporal Murphy asked. Rossetti grinned. "You would be amazed what people leave behind when they evacuate their homes quickly. A couple of houses back there still had their bathroom mirrors intact." Washington examined the mirrors with satisfaction. They would add an important element to his deception, creating visual confusion that would complement the smoke effects. "Outstanding work, Rossetti. Now I need you to position these mirrors at specific locations. Each one must be angled to reflect light toward grid reference Bravo 5. Can you handle that?" "Absolutely, Sergeant. How much time do I have?" "Complete the positioning by 1400 hours. After that, everyone needs to be in their assigned locations and ready for action." As the afternoon progressed, Washington made final adjustments to his plan based on updated intelligence. Chen's observations from Hill 274 confirmed that German armored units were indeed massing for an assault, with at least 24 main battle tanks supported by infantry and supply vehicles. The force appeared significantly larger than anything American intelligence had predicted, suggesting that the German military leadership at the time had committed substantial reserves to this operation. More concerning, Chen reported that the German forces were using new tactical formations he had not observed before. Instead of advancing in traditional column formation, they appeared to be organizing into small, independent groups that would approach from multiple directions simultaneously. This suggested a level of tactical sophistication that would make Washington's deception even more critical to their survival. At 1500 hours, Washington gathered his entire squad for final instructions. The men arranged themselves in a semicircle around their sergeant, their faces showing the mixture of tension and confidence that comes before a significant action. These soldiers had fought together for months, developing the kind of trust and mutual understanding that cannot be created through training alone. They knew Washington's tactical abilities, and they trusted his judgment even when his plans seemed unconventional. "Gentlemen," Washington began, "what we are about to attempt has never been tried before, at least not on this scale. The success of our operation depends entirely on precise timing and perfect execution. Each of you knows your individual responsibilities, but I want to review the overall sequence one more time to ensure complete understanding." Washington pulled out his hand-drawn tactical diagram, a detailed sketch showing positions, movement routes, and timing sequences. At approximately 1630 hours, Chen will signal that German armor has reached the tree line. Murphy, you will immediately begin deploying smoke grenades along Route Alpha, creating a continuous screen approximately 400 meters long. The smoke must appear to be natural concealment for American armored units moving into defensive positions. Rossetti, once Murphy begins the smoke deployment, you will start activating the mirror positions. The reflections need to simulate sunlight glinting off vehicle surfaces and optical equipment. The effect should suggest multiple American tanks taking covered positions behind the smoke screen. Private Chen raised his hand. "Sergeant, what if the wind conditions change and the smoke disperses too quickly?" Washington nodded approvingly at the question. "Excellent point, David. Weather conditions will determine how long we can maintain the illusion. Current wind patterns suggest we will have approximately 20 to 30 minutes of effective concealment. That should be sufficient for our purposes, but everyone must be prepared to adapt if conditions change. The plan Washington had developed relied on exploiting what military strategists call battlefield psychology, the tendency for commanders to make decisions based on incomplete information and preconceived expectations. German tank commanders approaching through the forest would expect to encounter American defensive positions, particularly anti-tank weapons, that posed the greatest threat to their advance. When they observed what appeared to be American armored units deploying behind smoke screens, their natural tactical response would be to engage those targets immediately, before they could achieve effective firing positions. What made Washington's deception particularly brilliant was its use of the German forces' own tactical doctrine against them. Standard German anti-tank procedures called for concentrated fire on enemy armor at maximum range, using overwhelming firepower to achieve quick defeats before American units could respond effectively. By creating the illusion of multiple American tanks in defensive positions, Washington was encouraging the German commanders to do exactly what their training demanded: concentrate their fire on targets that did not actually exist. At 1600 hours, Chen signaled from his observation position that German vehicles were beginning their final approach movement. Washington felt the familiar calm that always settled over him before combat, a mental clarity that allowed him to process multiple variables simultaneously while maintaining focus on the essential objectives. This psychological state had served him well throughout his military career, from his first training exercises in Alabama to the beaches of Normandy. "All right, gentlemen," Washington said quietly into his radio. "German armor is approximately 30 minutes from contact. Everyone move to assigned positions and prepare for execution on my signal." The next 25 minutes passed with agonizing slowness as Washington monitored Chen's reports and watched for the predetermined signal. The temperature continued dropping as the sun moved lower in the western sky, and Washington could feel the cold seeping through his heavy winter clothing. More troubling, the wind had shifted slightly, moving from northwest to due north. This would affect the smoke dispersion patterns and require real-time adjustments to maintain the illusion. At 16:28 hours, Chen's voice crackled over the radio with the message Washington had been waiting for. "Falcon 6. This is Eagle Eye. Package delivery at Alpha 7. Repeat, package delivery at Alpha 7. Washington immediately keyed his radio transmitter. "All stations, this is Falcon 6. Execute Phoenix. Repeat, execute Phoenix." Corporal Murphy began deploying smoke grenades with the precision of a master craftsman. Starting at the northern end of Route Alpha, he systematically activated grenades at 15-meter intervals, creating a continuous screen of gray-white smoke that rose approximately 20 meters above the forest floor. The smoke canisters had been positioned earlier to take advantage of natural terrain features, so the resulting screen appeared to follow logical defensive positions rather than an artificial pattern. Simultaneously, Private First Class Rossetti began activating the mirror positions from his concealed location near grid reference Charlie 3. Using a complex system of reflected sunlight, Rossetti created intermittent flashes that simulated light reflecting off vehicle surfaces, optical equipment, and metallic components. The timing and intensity of these reflections were carefully calibrated to suggest multiple large vehicles moving into position behind the smokescreen. From his command position, Washington could observe both the developing smokescreen and the approaching German armor through his field glasses. The deception appeared to be working exactly as planned. The smokescreen looked convincingly like concealment for a major American defensive position, and the mirror reflections added crucial visual details that enhanced the illusion. Most importantly, the German tank commanders were reacting exactly as Washington had predicted. Chen's voice provided running commentary on German reactions. "Falcon 6, Eagle Eye. German armor has stopped advancing. Lead vehicles appear to be calling for support. I count 15 main battle tanks moving into firing positions." Washington smiled grimly as he watched the German response develop. Instead of continuing their advance toward the actual American positions, the German commanders had committed their entire armored force to engaging what they believed to be American tanks, hiding behind the smokescreen. German tactical doctrine emphasized the destruction of enemy armor as the highest priority target, and the tank commanders were following their training perfectly. The first German shots came at 16:34 hours as main battle tanks opened fire on the smokescreen from positions approximately 800 meters away. The sound of tank cannons echoed through the forest like thunder, and Washington could see muzzle flashes through the trees as German gunners engaged their phantom targets. Each shot that hit the smokescreen area was a shot not directed at actual American positions, and Washington knew that German ammunition supplies were limited enough to make every wasted round significant. What happened next exceeded even Washington's optimistic expectations for the plan's success. As German tanks continued firing into the smokescreen without receiving return fire, their commanders became increasingly aggressive in their attempts to achieve decisive results. Individual tank crews began moving forward to get clearer shots at what they believed were American vehicles hiding behind the concealment. This movement brought them into the open areas where they became visible to other German units approaching from different directions. At 16:39 hours, Chen reported the crucial development. Falcon 6, Eagle Eye. German tanks are advancing toward each other from multiple directions. They do not appear to be coordinating movement. This could get very interesting. Washington realized immediately that his deception had created an even better outcome than planned. The German armored units, attacking what they believed to be American positions from several directions simultaneously, were now positioned where they could see each other through the forest, but could not clearly identify friendly versus enemy vehicles in the confusion of smoke, shadows, and winter light conditions. The inevitable result occurred at 16:41 hours, when a German tank crew observing movement through the smoke and trees engaged what they believed to be an American vehicle that was actually another German tank, advancing from a different direction. The targeted tank immediately returned fire, and within seconds, multiple German units were engaging each other in the mistaken belief that they were fighting American armor. Private Chen's excited voice provided updates on the developing chaos. Falcon 6, Eagle Eye. German armor is engaging German armor. Repeat, they are shooting at each other. I count at least 6 vehicles involved in friendly fire incidents. Washington watched through his field glasses as his tactical deception achieved results beyond his wildest hopes. The German armored formation, which had posed an overwhelming threat to his small unit just an hour earlier, was now destroying itself through confusion and misidentification. Tank after tank was being disabled or damaged by fire from their own forces, while the crews remained convinced they were fighting American defenders. The friendly fire incident continued for nearly 10 minutes before German commanders managed to establish communication and call for a ceasefire. By then, the damage had been extensive. Chen's final count identified 12 German tanks that had been disabled or damaged by fire from other German units, effectively reducing the enemy armored force by more than 50%, without any American units firing a single shot. As the smokescreen began to dissipate and the true situation became clear to the surviving German commanders, Washington observed a rapid change in enemy behavior. Instead of resuming their offensive, the German units began withdrawing toward their original positions, apparently convinced that they had encountered a sophisticated American defensive position equipped with advanced camouflage and deception capabilities. At 17:15 hours, Chen reported that all German armor had withdrawn beyond visual range, effectively ending the immediate threat to Washington's sector. The deception had been completely successful, achieving a decisive tactical victory through pure intellectual innovation rather than superior firepower or numbers. The psychological impact on German forces extended far beyond the immediate tactical results. Over the following days, intelligence reports indicated that German commanders in the entire sector had become extremely cautious about advancing through wooded terrain, fearing additional American deception operations. This hesitation provided crucial time for American reinforcements to arrive and establish stronger defensive positions throughout the region. Word of Washington's tactical achievement spread rapidly through American military channels, reaching division headquarters within 24 hours and corps headquarters within 48 hours. The unconventional nature of the victory captured the attention of senior commanders, who were always looking for innovative solutions to tactical challenges. Major General Maxwell Taylor, commanding the 101st Airborne Division, personally visited Washington's position on December 18th to discuss the operation and its implications for future tactical planning. Taylor, a career paratrooper with extensive combat experience, was particularly interested in how the deception could be adapted for use in other situations. "Sergeant Washington," Taylor said as they walked through the forest where the action had taken place, "what you accomplished here demonstrates exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need to win this conflict. Your plan used the enemy's own strengths against them, turning their tactical doctrine into a weakness." Washington felt honored by the general's attention, but remained characteristically modest about his achievement. "Thank you, sir. I was fortunate to have excellent soldiers who executed the plan perfectly. Without their skill and dedication, the deception would not have succeeded." Taylor nodded approvingly. "Leadership is about getting the best performance from your people, Sergeant. But leadership also requires the vision to see opportunities that others miss. Your smoke grenade deception will be studied at our military academies for years to come." The conversation with General Taylor led to Washington's assignment to a special tactical innovation unit that worked directly with division headquarters to develop new approaches to common battlefield challenges. This assignment represented an extraordinary recognition of his abilities and a significant advancement in his military career. Washington's new role involved analyzing combat reports from across the European theater, identifying patterns of tactical problems, and developing creative solutions that could be implemented by frontline units. The position required him to think strategically about warfare, while maintaining his understanding of practical limitations faced by soldiers in combat. One of Washington's first assignments in his new role was developing training materials based on his smoke grenade deception. Working with division training officers, he created a comprehensive manual that explained not just the technical aspects of the operation, but the psychological principles that made it effective. The manual, titled "Battlefield Deception Techniques for Small Unit Operations," became required reading for all non-commissioned officers in the 101st Airborne Division. More significantly, copies were distributed to other American units throughout the European theater, spreading Washington's innovations far beyond their original context. What made Washington's approach particularly valuable was its emphasis on using readily available materials to create tactical advantages. Unlike many military innovations that required specialized equipment or extensive training, his deception techniques could be implemented by any competent squad leader with standard infantry equipment and a thorough understanding of enemy psychology. The success of the smoke grenade deception also contributed to broader changes in American tactical doctrine. Military planners began placing greater emphasis on deception operations as force multipliers that could enable smaller units to achieve objectives traditionally requiring much larger forces. This doctrinal shift would influence American military thinking for decades after the conflict ended. Washington's innovations caught the attention of intelligence officers working on strategic deception operations at the theater level. In early 1945, he was temporarily assigned to work with specialists planning large-scale deception operations designed to mislead German commanders about American intentions for the final phases of the European campaign. This assignment provided Washington with insights into strategic thinking that few non-commissioned officers ever received. He learned how tactical deceptions like his smoke grenade operation could be coordinated with broader strategic objectives to achieve maximum psychological impact on enemy decision-making processes. The experience also reinforced Washington's understanding that successful deception operations require detailed knowledge of enemy psychology and tactical doctrine. The smoke grenade trick had worked because Washington understood exactly how German tank commanders would respond to the appearance of American armor in defensive positions. Similar operations in different contexts would require equally detailed understanding of enemy behavior patterns. As the European conflict moved toward its conclusion in early 1945, Washington continued developing innovative solutions to tactical challenges. His reputation for creative problem-solving led to consultation requests from units throughout the theater, and his ideas were credited with contributing to numerous successful operations. One particularly notable application of Washington's principles occurred during the crossing of the Rhine River in March 1945. American units used smoke screens and visual deceptions to convince German defenders that the main assault would come at a different location, enabling the actual crossing force to achieve tactical surprise. The operation's success demonstrated how Washington's innovations could be scaled up for major strategic objectives. Washington's wartime service ended with the German surrender in May 1945, but his contributions to military thinking continued during the post-war period. He remained in the Army as a career soldier, eventually achieving the rank of Sergeant Major and serving as an instructor at the Army's advanced tactical schools. His teaching career focused on developing the next generation of military leaders, emphasizing the importance of creative thinking and psychological understanding in tactical planning. Washington's students included many officers who would later apply his principles during subsequent conflicts, ensuring that his innovations continued influencing American military capabilities. The smoke grenade deception became a case study taught at military academies around the world, analyzed not just for its tactical success, but for what it revealed about leadership, innovation, and the psychological dimensions of warfare. Military historians consider it one of the finest examples of tactical deception in modern warfare. What made Washington's achievement particularly remarkable was how it demonstrated that individual creativity and leadership could overcome seemingly impossible tactical disadvantages. Faced with overwhelming enemy superiority in numbers and equipment, Washington had used intelligence and innovation to achieve a decisive victory, without suffering any casualties among his own forces. The operation also highlighted the importance of understanding enemy psychology and tactical doctrine when planning military operations. Washington's deception succeeded because he correctly predicted how German commanders would respond to the appearance of American armor in defensive positions. This psychological insight proved more valuable than superior firepower or advanced technology. Washington's success challenged conventional thinking about racial limitations in military leadership. At a time when many American commanders questioned whether black soldiers could serve effectively in combat roles, Washington's tactical brilliance provided undeniable evidence of leadership capability that transcended racial categories. His achievement opened doors for other black soldiers and contributed to gradual changes in military policies regarding integration. The personal relationships Washington developed with his soldiers also demonstrated effective leadership across racial lines. His squad included men from diverse backgrounds who had never worked with black leaders before joining the Army, yet they developed complete confidence in Washington's judgment and tactical abilities. These relationships proved that effective military leadership depended on competence and character rather than racial identity. Washington's post-war career continued to break barriers as he became one of the first black soldiers to achieve senior non-commissioned officer rank in the integrated Army. His success paved the way for other minority soldiers and contributed to the gradual transformation of American military culture during the 1950s and 60s. The tactical innovations Washington developed during the war continued influencing military thinking throughout the Cold War period. His emphasis on psychological warfare and deception operations proved particularly relevant during conflicts where direct military confrontation was limited by political considerations. Military planners studying asymmetric warfare frequently referenced Washington's smoke grenade operation as an example of how smaller forces could overcome larger opponents through superior tactics. Washington retired from the Army in 1968 after 26 years of service, having achieved recognition as one of the most innovative tactical thinkers of his generation. His influence extended far beyond his own career, as former students and colleagues continued applying his principles throughout their own military service. In retirement, Washington wrote a memoir titled Smoke and Mirrors: Innovation in Military Leadership, which became required reading in many military leadership programs. The book provided detailed analysis of his tactical innovations while also addressing the broader challenges of leadership in racially integrated units during a period of significant social change. Washington's memoir emphasized that successful military innovation required willingness to challenge conventional thinking and take calculated risks. His smoke grenade deception had succeeded because he was willing to attempt something that had never been tried before, based on his analysis of tactical psychology and battlefield conditions. The book also addressed the personal challenges Washington faced as a black leader in a predominantly white military organization. His experiences provided valuable insights for future minority leaders while documenting an important chapter in the history of military integration. Military historians studying Washington's career have identified several key factors that contributed to his success as an innovative tactical leader. First, his ability to analyze complex situations and identify unconventional solutions that others missed. Second, his skill in understanding enemy psychology and predicting how opponents would respond to different tactical approaches. Third, his effectiveness in motivating diverse groups of soldiers to execute complex plans under pressure. These leadership qualities enabled Washington to achieve remarkable results throughout his military career, from his initial success in training to his tactical innovations during combat, and his later contributions as an instructor and mentor. His example demonstrated that effective military leadership could emerge from unexpected sources and achieve extraordinary results through intelligence, creativity, and determination. The smoke grenade deception remains Washington's most famous tactical innovation, but military analysts consider it representative of his broader approach to problem solving. Throughout his career, Washington consistently sought ways to achieve tactical objectives through intellectual superiority rather than brute force, emphasizing efficiency and effectiveness over conventional approaches. This philosophy proved particularly valuable during the post-war period, when military planners faced new challenges requiring innovative solutions. Washington's principles influenced American tactical doctrine during conflicts in Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, demonstrating the enduring relevance of his strategic thinking. Contemporary military leaders studying asymmetric warfare continue referencing Washington's smoke grenade operation as an example of how inferior forces can achieve tactical superiority through superior planning and execution. The operation's success provides timeless lessons about leadership, innovation, and the psychological dimensions of military conflict. Washington's legacy extends beyond his specific tactical innovations to encompass broader questions about leadership, diversity, and institutional change. His career demonstrated that excellence could emerge from unexpected sources and achieve recognition despite significant institutional barriers. The relationships Washington developed with soldiers from different racial and ethnic backgrounds also provided a model for effective leadership in diverse organizations. His ability to earn respect and loyalty across traditional social divisions offered important lessons for military and civilian leaders facing similar challenges. Washington passed away in 1994 at the age of 76, having lived to see many of the social changes he had helped initiate through his military service. His funeral was attended by hundreds of former colleagues and students, representing multiple generations of military leaders who had been influenced by his example. The eulogy, delivered by General Colin Powell, then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, emphasized Washington's role as a pioneer who had opened doors for future generations while making significant contributions to American military capabilities. Powell credited Washington with demonstrating that innovation and excellence could come from any source, regardless of background or conventional expectations. Today, the Marcus Washington Center for Tactical Innovation at the Army War College serves as a permanent memorial to his contributions to military thinking. The center conducts research on innovative approaches to contemporary tactical challenges while preserving the historical record of Washington's achievements. Military academies around the world continue teaching the smoke grenade deception as a case study in tactical innovation and leadership. The operation demonstrates timeless principles about psychological warfare, creative problem-solving, and effective leadership under pressure that remain relevant for contemporary military professionals. Washington's story also continues inspiring leaders in non-military contexts who face challenges requiring innovative solutions and effective leadership across diverse groups. His example demonstrates that individual creativity and determination can overcome seemingly impossible obstacles when combined with thorough preparation and skillful execution. The tactical principles Washington developed during World War II influenced American military doctrine for decades and continue informing contemporary approaches to asymmetric warfare. His emphasis on understanding enemy psychology and exploiting opponent weaknesses through deception remains central to modern military planning. Perhaps most significantly, Washington's career demonstrated that excellence and innovation could emerge from unexpected sources during times of national crisis. His achievements challenged conventional assumptions about leadership capability while contributing substantially to American military success during a critical period in world history. The smoke grenade deception represents more than just a clever tactical trick. It exemplifies the kind of creative thinking and effective leadership that enables smaller forces to overcome larger opponents through superior strategy and execution. Washington's innovations saved American lives, achieved decisive tactical results, and provided a model for future military leaders facing similar challenges. His legacy continues inspiring contemporary military professionals who study his tactics, while also learning from his example as a leader who overcame significant personal and institutional barriers to achieve recognition and success. Washington's story demonstrates that individual excellence and innovation can make decisive contributions to larger historical outcomes. The enduring relevance of Washington's tactical innovations reflects their foundation in timeless principles of human psychology and organizational behavior. While specific technologies and weapon systems continue evolving, the fundamental challenges of leadership, innovation, and tactical problem-solving remain constant across different historical periods. Washington's smoke grenade deception succeeded because it exploited universal aspects of military psychology and tactical doctrine that transcend specific historical contexts. Contemporary military leaders facing asymmetric challenges can still learn valuable lessons from his approach to analyzing enemy behavior and developing creative solutions to tactical problems. The operation also demonstrates how individual initiative and creativity can achieve strategic results when properly supported by effective organizational leadership. Washington's success required not only his own tactical innovation, but also the trust and support of his superiors, who recognized the value of unconventional approaches to military challenges. This combination of individual excellence and institutional support provides a model for contemporary organizations seeking to encourage innovation while maintaining effective command and control. Washington's example shows how creative thinking can flourish within disciplined military structures when leaders at all levels remain open to new ideas and approaches. Military historians studying 20th century warfare consider Washington's smoke grenade deception one of the finest examples of small unit tactical innovation during World War II. The operation achieved decisive results through intellectual superiority rather than superior firepower, demonstrating the continuing relevance of strategic thinking in an era of advanced military technology. The psychological aspects of Washington's deception also provide insights relevant to contemporary information warfare and strategic communication challenges. His success in manipulating enemy perceptions and decision-making processes offers lessons for modern practitioners of psychological operations and strategic deception. Washington's career trajectory, from segregated supply unit to elite airborne division, illustrates the gradual transformation of American military culture during the mid-20th century. His achievements contributed to broader social changes, while demonstrating the practical benefits of diversity and inclusion in military organizations. The relationships he developed with soldiers from different backgrounds also provided early examples of successful integration that would influence later military policies and practices. Washington's experience demonstrated that effective leadership could transcend traditional social divisions when based on competence, character, and mutual respect. Contemporary military leaders studying diversity and inclusion issues continue referencing Washington's career as evidence that organizational excellence benefits from drawing talent from the broadest possible pool of candidates. His success challenged prevailing assumptions about leadership capability while contributing substantially to mission accomplishment. The tactical manual Washington developed, based on his smoke grenade deception, became one of the most widely distributed training documents in American military history. Its emphasis on readily available materials and psychological principles made the techniques accessible to units throughout the military establishment. This democratization of tactical innovation reflected Washington's understanding that effective military capabilities should not depend on specialized equipment or advanced technology that might not be available in all circumstances. His approaches emphasized human ingenuity and thorough preparation as force multipliers that could enhance the effectiveness of any military unit. The training programs Washington developed during his post-war career continued spreading his tactical innovations throughout the American military establishment. Thousands of officers and non-commissioned officers learned his principles and applied them during subsequent conflicts, multiplying the impact of his original innovations. This influence extended beyond American forces as Allied militaries adopted Washington's techniques through joint training programs and professional military education exchanges. His tactical principles became part of the shared body of knowledge that connected military professionals across national boundaries. Washington's international influence reflected the universal applicability of his tactical innovations and leadership principles. Military professionals around the world recognized the value of his approaches to creative problem-solving and effective leadership under pressure. The academic study of Washington's career has also contributed to broader understanding of military innovation and organizational change. Scholars analyzing his achievements have identified factors that enable creative thinking within hierarchical organizations while maintaining effective command and control. This research has influenced contemporary military education and professional development programs that seek to encourage innovation while preserving the discipline and coordination essential for effective military operations. Washington's example provides a model for balancing creativity with organizational effectiveness. Military sociologists studying Washington's career have also contributed to understanding of leadership across racial and ethnic lines during periods of social transformation. His relationships with diverse groups of soldiers provide insights relevant to contemporary challenges of leading multicultural organizations. The continuing relevance of Washington's tactical innovations demonstrates the enduring importance of individual creativity and leadership in military affairs. Despite advances in technology and changes in strategic contexts, the fundamental challenges of tactical problem-solving and effective leadership remain constant. Contemporary military professionals facing asymmetric threats and resource constraints can still learn valuable lessons from Washington's approach to analyzing enemy behavior and developing creative solutions to tactical challenges. His emphasis on psychological understanding and innovative thinking remains as relevant today as it was during World War II. Washington's legacy also encompasses broader questions about social change and institutional transformation. His career demonstrated how individual excellence could challenge prevailing assumptions while contributing to gradual organizational evolution. The barriers Washington overcame during his military career reflected broader social challenges that continue influencing contemporary organizations. His success provides encouragement for current leaders facing similar obstacles while demonstrating the benefits of persistence and professional excellence. Educational institutions continue using Washington's story to illustrate principles of effective leadership and innovative thinking. His example demonstrates how individual creativity and determination can achieve remarkable results when combined with thorough preparation and skillful execution. The smoke grenade deception remains Washington's most famous achievement, but military historians emphasize that it represents just one example of his broader contributions to tactical innovation and military leadership. His career-long commitment to creative problem-solving and effective leadership training influenced thousands of military professionals throughout several decades. This broader impact reflects Washington's understanding that individual achievements gain lasting significance only when they contribute to larger organizational capabilities and institutional knowledge. His emphasis on teaching and mentoring ensured that his innovations would continue influencing military practice long after his own retirement. The institutional changes Washington helped initiate during his career contributed to the gradual transformation of American military culture during the second half of the 20th century. His example demonstrated the practical benefits of diversity while challenging assumptions about leadership capability. Contemporary military organizations continue grappling with similar challenges as they seek to maximize human potential while maintaining effective organizational discipline. Washington's experience provides valuable insights for leaders navigating these complex issues in current contexts. The enduring study of Washington's tactical innovations also reflects their foundation in fundamental principles of human behavior and organizational psychology. While specific technologies and strategic contexts continue evolving, the basic challenges of leadership and tactical problem-solving remain remarkably consistent across different historical periods. This consistency enables contemporary military professionals to learn directly from Washington's experience while adapting his principles to current circumstances. His tactical approaches provide time-tested methods for achieving superior results through creative thinking and effective leadership. Washington's emphasis on understanding enemy psychology and exploiting opponent weaknesses through deception remains particularly relevant for contemporary practitioners of asymmetric warfare. His success demonstrated that inferior forces could achieve tactical superiority through superior strategy and execution. The smoke grenade deception exemplified these principles while providing a specific example of how creative thinking could overcome significant tactical disadvantages. The operation's success continues inspiring military leaders facing similar challenges in contemporary conflicts. Washington's personal qualities of persistence, creativity, and effective leadership also provide models for contemporary professionals facing complex challenges in various fields. His example demonstrates how individual excellence can contribute to larger organizational success while overcoming significant institutional barriers. The relationships Washington developed throughout his career illustrate effective approaches to leadership across traditional social divisions. His ability to earn respect and loyalty from diverse groups provides insights relevant for contemporary leaders managing multicultural organizations. Military institutions around the world continue honoring Washington's contributions through academic programs, training curricula, and memorial facilities that preserve his legacy for future generations. These educational efforts ensure that his tactical innovations and leadership example will continue influencing military professionals for years to come. The Marcus Washington Center for Tactical Innovation serves as the primary institutional memorial to his contributions, conducting research on contemporary challenges while preserving the historical record of his achievements. The center's work demonstrates the continuing relevance of Washington's approaches to creative problem-solving and innovative leadership. Annual conferences at the center bring together military professionals, academics, and policy experts to discuss contemporary applications of Washington's tactical principles. These gatherings facilitate the continued development and adaptation of his innovations for current strategic contexts. Educational programs at the center also ensure that new generations of military leaders understand Washington's contributions while learning to apply his principles in their own professional contexts. This educational mission reflects Washington's own commitment to mentoring and developing future leaders. The center's research programs investigate contemporary challenges that would benefit from Washington's approaches to tactical innovation and creative problem-solving. This work ensures that his legacy continues contributing to current military capabilities rather than remaining merely historical curiosity. International participation in the center's programs demonstrates the global recognition of Washington's contributions to military thinking. His tactical innovations and leadership principles continue influencing military professionals worldwide, reflecting their universal applicability and enduring relevance. And that concludes our story. If you made it this far, please share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this historical account surprised you most? Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from World War II and check out the video on screen for another incredible tale from history. Until next time.